Welcome again, and let me now go over to the relationship between the orthogonalized plane wave method and what is called the pseudopotential method. So, we will talk about pseudopotential method. To understand pseudopotential method, let us write down the actual wave function of the crystal Hamiltonian. So, psi of k as a combination of some function v of k plus the core functions sigma over j with coefficients akj phi kj. So, this is the valence function, these are exact core functions. Okay. Now, what are the values of akj given by? Akj is equal to minus of, let us say, phi kj vk, so as to be consistent with the orthogonalized plane waves. So, if vk is a plane wave, then this becomes psi k becomes an orthogonalized plane wave. Let me use the angular brackets. So, that for the inner product I have used the angular brackets. Now, let us see what happens to the h of psi k. H of psi k is equal to h of vk plus sigma over j akj h of phi kj. So, I can write down this to be ek times psi k equal to ek times vk minus of sigma over j akj ek psi k is equal to vk plus sigma over akj phi kj. So, because that is what is psi k. Now, having done that, I can take it to the left side. So, in which case I have h vk plus sigma over j akj ej phi kj is equal to ek vk plus ek times sigma over j akj phi kj. So, what I can do is take this thing on to the left hand side, so that I will have h vk plus sigma over j akj ej minus ek ekj minus ek times phi kj is equal to ek vk. Or I can also just rewrite this equation slightly differently. I can say h plus sigma over j akj ekj minus ek phi kj by vk into vk is equal to ek vk. So, this is interesting, because what I have done is the following, that I have introduced something that I may call as pseudo potential. So, that h plus v pseudo potential times vk is equal to ek vk. So, the total Hamiltonian, when I used the function psi k, was giving me the eigenvalue ek. Now, the Hamiltonian plus the pseudo potential has the eigenstate which is vk. Okay, vk's are like plane waves, but psi k's are orthogonalized plane waves. So, from the orthogonalized plane waves, you can get plane waves as the eigenstates of a different Hamiltonian with the same eigenvalue, which is if you add a pseudo potential, where the pseudo potential that you add is sigma over j akj ekj minus ek. I suppose I am making it myself clear. So, what you had earlier was h psi k is equal to ek psi k, and psi k was orthogonal plane wave, orthogonalized plane wave. That means you took Vk, which was a plane wave, and you orthogonalized Vk to the core functions, and so the resulting function was the psi k, and psi k was the eigenvalue of the full crystal Hamiltonian. But instead of doing that way, by manipulating the equations, you could actually write down an eigenvalue equation involving a new Hamiltonian, which is H plus Vp, and that H plus Vp has the eigenstates as Vk themselves and the eigenvalues Ek. So, it is as if H plus Vp is almost a free electron Hamiltonian with eigenvalue Ek of the crystal and eigenfunction which is like a plane wave, which is V of k. Okay, is like a plane wave. Now, Akj that we have introduced are nothing but the orthonormality coefficients, which are given by minus of phi kj Vk d cubed r, and what we have is Vp pseudopotential operating upon V of k is going to give me sigma over j Akj Ekj minus E phi kj. So, this is what we had. I can now write down Vp Vk in a slightly by substituting the other part, which would become if I take this part and this Akj which is here and stick it in there, then I will get this one to be sigma over j Ekj minus E times integral phi kj r prime V of r prime d cubed r times or I can write it slightly differently. I can write Vp Vk as equal to integral Vp Rr prime Vk r prime d cubed r prime, okay, d cubed r prime, where Vp Rr prime is equal to sigma over j Ekj minus Ek. Actually, what we had taken was Ek itself, so I missed the k there. Ekj minus Ek phi kj star r prime phi kj r. Okay. So, this quantity that I have here is actually a non-local function, in the sense that that function, the potential that I am talking about here, depends upon two coordinates r and r prime. So, it is not as if it is not like an electrostatic potential which only depends upon one coordinate, which is the distance between the charges. Okay. So, that is the vector on which it depends, but here it depends upon two vectors r and r prime, and so this is a non-local potential. And this arises from the orthogonality So what we are implying is that the orthogonality can be replaced, the orthogonality coefficients that I get or the orthogonality of the states lead to what we can call can be leading to a pseudo potential. And the pseudo potential depends upon the orthogonality coefficients AKJ. So let us see what is the nature of this potential. The nature of the potential is the following. First of all, it is a repulsive potential. And this repulsive potential actually cancels the attractive potential in the core. Let us see why it comes about. And results in a weak net potential because the net potential is weak. Plane waves can be used as basis. So if you use pseudo potentials, then you can use plane waves as the basis. Okay, that is exactly what we did in the orthogonalized plane wave technique, where the orthogonality coefficients turned out to be giving rise to a pseudo potential. This pseudo potential was cancelling out the large negative potential in the core region. And the question is, why does it cancel? Cancellation occurs simply for the following reason. Let us look at valence state. This valence state has to be orthogonal to all the core states. So if you look at the core states in, for example, an atomic problem, so the core states have nodes. Okay, 1s no node. If you look at 2s, it has got one node. You look at 2p, it has angular nodes. These are radial nodes. You look at 3p, you have both angular and radial nodes. So supposing you are looking at a function like 4s function. The 4s function has to be orthogonal to 1s, 2s, 2p, all the way up to the 3D functions. So if it has to be orthogonal, what happens is that it has to be, the integrand has to be keep changing sign. Okay, so for example, integral 4s star 1s d tau should be 0. Similarly, integral 4s star 2s d tau should be equal to 0, and so on and so forth, all the way to integral 4s star 3d d tau equal to 0, which means the 4s function must be rapidly changing sign in the core region, because it should always make sure that the integrand is such that positive and negative contributions cancel, so that the orthogonality is maintained. So that is possible when the integrand is, when the 4s function is rapidly changing sign, because 1s, 2s, 2p, 3d, they are also changing sign and they have nodes. So what it means is that in the core region, there is rapid oscillation of valence function, of a valence function, so this means that the contribution to del squared from this region will be Raj. Because the wave function is changing very rapidly. So because of the rapid variation, the gradient is large, and so also the second derivative is also very large. If the second derivative is very large, it implies high kinetic energy. Because after all, kinetic energy is given by minus h cross square by 2m del square. So you will be having very high kinetic energy. Now let me illustrate this by plotting the wave function as well as the potentials, and show you how one can get a pseudo potential from here. Okay. In order to do that, so let me have the energy or wave function axis, and the 1 by r potential falls up in this way. So for this potential, the core wave function will look something like this. There will be many nodes, and then afterwards it will go up and then gradually fall down. If the kinetic energy, if I plot, the kinetic energy in this region will be rather large. So wherever there is oscillation, there is going to be large kinetic energy. So let me put it this way. This is the kinetic energy, and this is potential going as z by r, and what we have is that this kinetic energy will cancel. So the cancellation will lead to a net potential something of this kind. So this is the pseudo potential, and the corresponding wave function you will see for this pseudo potential will be something of this kind. So you see that around this point in the core I have cancelled much of the potential, because the pseudo potential is very smooth, and because the core has got very high kinetic energy, and the resulting wave function, which is this is the wave function, and the black one is for actual potential, and the red one is for the pseudo potential. Let me mark it here. This is the wave function of the pseudo potential. So you see that this is very much a smoothly varying wave function. So the potential is smoothly varying, in the core region, and so also the wave function. So the wave function can be approximated by plane waves. In fact, the success of much of the free electron theory is also because of the pseudo potential or the cancellation. This cancellation, as I have already said, is called the Phillips-Kleinman cancellation theorem. And it arises because of the orthogonality factors that you get in the orthogonalized plane wave methods, which actually is going to reduce the potential, as we saw in the Hamiltonian matrix elements. We can also understand this from a scattering perspective. So, let us see how we can understand it from a scattering perspective. So, when you have scattering by a spherical potential, by a spherical potential, then you can actually use partial wave analysis, and in the partial wave analysis what happens is that the amplitude function, that is what you have is the scattered wave is f of theta e to the I k r by r, and f of theta in in partial wave analysis is given by, is rather easy to show. I will not go into that one because that is outside the purview. So, I can write it as, write the expression 1 upon 2 I k L is equal to 0 to infinity 2 L plus 1 e to the power I delta L sin delta L P L cos theta. The scattering is only for m not equal to 0 because of the symmetry of the problem. So, now let us see what happens to if you look at this scattering amplitude. For example, if you change delta L to delta prime L equal to delta L plus n pi, then what happens is that e to the power I delta L e to the power I delta L is equal to e to the power delta L prime rather is equal to e to the I delta L plus n pi, that is equal to e to the power I delta L times e to the I n pi, and this factor e to the power I n pi is minus 1 for n odd plus 1 for n even. And if you see the factor sin delta L, so sin delta L prime is equal to sin delta L plus n pi, and this is equal to minus sin delta L for n odd and plus sin delta L for n even. So, the upshot is that e to the power I delta L sin delta L is equal to e to the power I delta L prime sin delta L prime. So, which means that delta L modulo pi will give you the same kind of scattering as long as the modulo pi is the same. Any delta L with the same modulo pi will give you the same scattering. And the scattering, of course, the scattering amplitude will also be given by sin squared delta L. So, it is easy to see this. So, modulus f k theta squared integral sin theta d theta will actually give me, because of the orthogonality of the Legendre polynomials, will just give me sigma over L 2L plus 1 by 4 1 by 4 k squared 2L plus 1 squared sine square delta L. So, this is something like this. So, supposing I have the scattering by a strong weak potential, it will go in this fashion. Supposing this is the original wave and scattering by a weak potential will follow the small delta L. But scattering by a strong potential will have a different dependence. So, for example, scattering by strong delta L could be going this way. I am plotting the real part of f k theta if you want to. So, this part let me plot it slightly differently so that I have the same phase difference. Okay, and if I want to have the same phase difference, then the stronger one should actually be going somewhere here. So, modulo n pi if I must have the same phase difference. So, what it actually means is that the wave is scattered strongly by a strong potential but scattering amplitude is the same as that of a weak potential. So, you can treat the pseudo potential as this weak potential and the real potential as a strong potential. That is the reason why you can get away with a plane wave expansion of the wave functions when you use a pseudo potential, and the convergence is good. In the next lecture, I am going to be talking a little bit about other aspects of energy band calculations, like one of the earliest ways of dealing with energy band calculations, which is the cellular method, and then I will go to more practical methods such as the augmented plane wave method and the density functional methods. Thank you.